As we say, learn kindness, learn justice, and then learn Kung Fu. The first time I ever saw any martial arts, really, was actually on the Ed Sullivan show. This was still in very segregated times. And Ed Sullivan, he was the only TV show that would allow black entertainers on. My job transferred me down here to DC, and that's when I began looking for another Kung Fu school and ended up finding Dean Chin's school in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. I found all these elaborate forms, two-person sets, weapons, so I was really intrigued by that. I want to look into this a lot deeper, a lot further, and see where it takes me. Mm-hmm. It was maybe my third or fourth time at the school. Dean Chin walked in and he said, "Lap Chin?" Dean Chin that day, he was going to show us some techniques from Gun Li. We learned Small Tiger, then we learned Gun Li. He just did a demonstration showing us how to make the crane speak. So he moved his hands and made the crane speak like that. Now when I do it, look, my wrist is like 90 degrees. When Sifu Chin did it, the tips of his fingers were almost touching his wrist. I said, daggone, this guy is really flexible. He must have been doing this stuff for a long time. I was just impressed with his dexterity, flexibility, and then he went on to teach a really good class. He was one of the most honorable guys I'd ever met. One of the most generous people with the vast amount of knowledge that he had about Kung Fu, the lion dance, and the dragon dance. He made all of that come alive to us. When you met him, you'd think, yeah, I'd like to study under this guy because I know I'm going to learn something, and I know I'm going somewhere. And he opened up the doors for us in Asia that we're walking through right now. It was always intense. I didn't think you were doing Kung Fu unless you were doing it intense. But Kung Fu is meant to be intense because it's supposed to challenge you in every possible way. Role models are good, you know, not to try to emulate tit for tat, but to see how somebody has excelled in the things that they were interested in and the price they had to pay to get to where they wanted to go. I said, I'm going to try to follow the path of Paul Robeson and become a scholar and a go-getter like he was, and use my talents not only for my benefit, but for the benefit of others also. I couldn't believe all the things that he had accomplished in his life. He went to Rutgers University on an academic scholarship. He was an All-American football player 2 years, won 15 varsity letters. He was on the debating team for 4 years and never lost a debate. He was valedictorian, Phi Beta Kappa. When he left Rutgers, he went to Columbia Law School. He played 2 years in the just budging professional football league to help pay his way through law school at Columbia. And then when he went to work for a law firm there, you know, very segregated times. These were like mid-1920s. Paul had always sung in the church because his father was a preacher, and he had a booming bass baritone voice. So he started singing concerts. He moved to England, and he became even more popular, you know, because of his concerts. And then he was invited back to the U.S. to star in major motion picture films. And this was in late 30s, mid to late 30s, and early 1940s. It was unheard of at that time. And then as a stage actor, his most prominent role was that of Othello. After World War II, he was the only private citizen invited to speak to the non-aligned countries in Indonesia at that time. I was reading all this and I said, how does any one individual able to accomplish all that? Oh, and here I'm bumping along going to some new sales assignment, you know, in Washington, D.C. So Paul Robeson became a pretty much guiding light to me. When you root yourself in Jalga and learn the history of your teacher, your teacher's teachers, the founders going back, and then why Kung Fu developed as it has, over the centuries, that's what I mean by becoming rooted in your Kung Fu. To be rooted is to have a good understanding of not only what you do, but why you want to do it and what keeps you there. That's what I mean by becoming rooted in your Kung Fu. You become firm in your resolve to carry on this art and make it maybe even better for the next generation. I knew what U Street was, because my parents had always sat me down and talked to me about U Street and what it was like, during their age. And right up till the time when the riots broke, it was still a bustling neighborhood, predominantly Black American, but bustling with small businesses. So I knew what U Street was and what it meant to the Black community. I often say when I first came in here in '95, it was almost like I could still smell the smoke from the riots. It was rampant with drug use, drug activity, homelessness, and nobody wanted to invest in the area, so nobody was coming back into it. So it was pretty much a wasteland in '95. At that time, parents or my friends told me, don't go past 16th Street. Come down to 16th to 14th to 13th or down to 7th Street. Don't come down here. I never had a bad thought about U Street. I was never fearful of coming down here to U Street. To me, U Street was part of my growth. My family's footprints were all up and down U Street. The things that they talked about, when they talked about good times. That was the U Street I knew. So I knew what U Street, the potential it had. And because of my family's involvement in this greater U Street area, this was the first place I looked when I wanted to open up the school. To me, there was no better place that was endeared to me than U Street, no matter what it looked like. This was a rough neighborhood. Kids didn't have a lot to do. Some of them would get in trouble. Some were sheltered from it. But there weren't a lot of opportunities for young kids to get into something positive, something structured, something that would hold their attention over time. And we thought we had something that could do just that. I always had in the back of my mind, who do I want to give thanks to for giving me the inspiration to come out and open up a school? If it's anybody, it's got to be Arthur Mitchell, the first Black principal dancer for the New York City Ballet. He says that he's leaving the company, right? Now, he's the only one in the United States, Black dancer at that level, at that height. Worked hard all his life to get there. But after Dr. King was assassinated in '68, he wanted to do more and give back to the community the benefit of his talent. So he said, I'm leaving New York Ballet and I'm going back to Harlem and I'm going to teach young Black kids who are doing nothing right now about modern dance, about ballet, and then take them around the world and let the world know, yeah, we can do this too, and we can do it as well as anybody else. And that's what he did. I admire and respect what he did more than any other martial artist or any other person who can open up a dance school or anything else. He's the guy that I want to say and give credit to for inspiring me to come in and open up this school. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their reason for wanting to do Kung Fu. So we try to meet people where they are and take them a little bit further, and beyond. Everybody's unique. Everybody's different. You put 5 people on the floor and ask them to do a form, their physical movement is going to be different. That's what the artists mean to me. It means that we are all artists and we just express our art in different ways, right? And that's what I hope martial artists understand. So we not only want you to be martial artists, but we want students to be martial activists as well. The school isn't in a vacuum here. The school is here because it's supported by a community providing a service to the community and have for the past 30 years. I speak before the City Council about possibly increasing the budget for out-of-school time programs, or talk about the DC Commission in the Arts and Humanities trying to increase their budget. We do consider ourselves a part of the community, and that everything that affects the community affects us too. We're supposed to be part of those people who bring that change about as well. And when I see my students out there and protesting or advocating for something, it makes me feel very proud, because that's exactly who I want them to be. Why gain all this strength and ability to focus and concentrate if you're not using that power to bring about something good and positive and change in your community for the right things? Those of us who practice it, we may not want to go out and open up a school, but we probably have other goals in life that we want to pursue. Do it and do it now. Use the power and the energy and the focus and the ability to concentrate, right, to the advantage not only of yourself, but of the broader community. And whatever you want to do, as long as it's positive and righteous, there's a place for it. We don't turn any people away. Mm-hmm. We want to help those who we see and their parents see and they see could use some help. I would say those students that had some kind of neurodiverse challenge, and we were able to meet them where they are and help them move along and be productive in life. I think those are my students I'm most proud of. I remember just recently we had an oversight visit from one of our grantors, right? So we have all the kids lined up. First thing we do is meditation, so one kid is spinning around, another kid is doing all kind of, weird stretches and stuff like that. And then I said, okay, you'll come out of meditation and we're going to do push-ups now. And then one says, Sifu, I'm doing reverse push-ups today. So he's laying on his back doing push-ups up like that. But you gotta love them all, man. You gotta love them all, because we've been open long enough that we've seen kids that come in with those same challenges that are now college graduates, have now gotten full 4-year scholarships to schools like GW, University of Penn State. But if you expand your offering to the entire community, all those who need help, you'll touch as well. Jalga is a family. Jalga is a family. And when you go to other Jalga schools, you see how this is manifested in the way you're treated. If you think you have nothing in common, you do have something in common. That tie allows you to learn more about their culture and them to learn more about yours. The highest art form is good manners. If you go showing good manners and character, you'll be warmly received. I wanted the school not just be a physical classroom, but a cultural classroom as well. That's why we have our lions out. That's why we have dragons out. That's why I have pictures, of a lot of people that are important to our lineage in Jalga. That's how we have all these things to make the visual connection with students when they come in, to let them know that they're in a special place. And it may be a culture that is a little different than what they've grown up into, So embrace it and learn how to respect other people's cultures. All the schools that I've been to, including this one, I think we're on the same page with what we're trying to do with our schools. Some have more bigger schools, some have small schools, some just practice in the alley. But they all respect their founders, respect their teachers, respect the lion dance, the programs and stuff. They all respect these things, whether it's on the wall or not.